The 360 on Energy and Carbon, hosted by 360 Energy. On today's episode, we are joined by Mohammad DoostMohammadi. Backed by a master's degree in chemical engineering, an MBA, and over 15 years of industrial experience in minerals extraction, processing, and wastewater management, Mohammad launched PH7 Technologies in 2020. His aim? To innovate sustainable systems designed to help increase the global supply of critical metals in an economically and environmentally superior way. In doing so, PH7 would not only support mining sustainability, but also help facilitate the world's transition to electrification and clean energy pathways, and conserve water, save energy, and reduce emissions. At PH7 Technologies, Mohammad's vision is being realized through the company's novel closed-loop critical minerals extraction process, which offer an economically and environmentally superior way to extract in-demand minerals, including platinum group metals and copper from recycled materials and mine waste. Now let's get into the episode with Mohammad. Welcome back, Dave, John, and Mohammad.
Great to be back. Thank you. And looking forward to our second podcast with Mohammad as well. This should be really an interesting piece.
Yes, today we're going to dive into the impacts, challenges, and the future of renewable energy, especially as it pertains to sustainable metal extraction. For our first question, environmental impact is a hot topic. How does PH7 approach significantly reducing the environmental footprint of metal extraction? And can you highlight what cyclical economy is and how it plays a part here?
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. That's a very good question. And I believe to address that, let me start with sustainable mining and circular economy. And then I go to the environmental impact of this and how PH7 plays a role. So by circular economy, which means that we mine the metals and then we use them. But the metals, the good thing about the metals, they don't change their characteristic over the use of their application. At the end of the use, at the end of the life, they are metals. And you can recycle them, you can extract them back, and then have them back into the new products. So even your phone, for example, you have your phone, you talk to it, you use it for 5 years, 10 years. Nowadays, it's about 1 or 2 years. It's just getting shorter and shorter. And after that, you can easily recycle. You can recycle and extract the metals out of that. And those metals can go to the new phone is going to be. So that's the circular economy. That's what we want to enable. That's what we want to achieve. We want to extract the metals from the materials and then put them in a new materials. It's impossible to get 100% because there's no 100%. Always you have some loss. That's why you still need mining. So you extract as much as you can. The demand is increasing every day. You extract it from the old products. You have to build the new products, but you need mining as well. So that's where sustainable mining is coming in. So we do our part in circular economy. Now we need more metals because the demand is increasing, and that's where we see the sustainable mining. And what sustainable mining means that you mine the metals in a manner that you reduce and minimize your environmental impact while mining these products and these critical metals from the earth. So now we have these two definitions. I want to highlight what PH7 role, these two, circular economy and sustainable mining, as we play a role in both of them. In circular economy, we are doing mineral extraction, metal extraction, that is sustainable for recycling industry. The materials, let's say, that is very low grade, that is very hard for traditional methods to extract it, which is impossible to melt it down through the pyrometallurgical and smelting methods. PH7 can process those materials and extract the metals from them and having them back into the circular economy. So instead of seeing them going to the landfill without extracting the metals, PH7 process can extract those metals, have them back into the circular economy. That's, I believe, the major role that we play in circular economy, in recycling industry. We actually doing it in a sustainable manner as well. We just increase the energy consumption in that metal extraction, but about 90%. And the reason is that instead of melting down everything, burning down everything, which is really high energy intensive process, We just chemically dissolve the metals into the solution with way lower energy. We don't generate any wastewater. We don't generate any effluent. We have a closed loop process. We don't have any direct carbon emission through our process. We do not have any SOx, NOx, or any GHG emission through the process. So we minimize all the environmental impact of the metal extraction while increasing the circular economy, while supplying more of these materials, extract them from the metals that is going to the landfill and having them back to the circuit. On the mining side, PH7 is playing an important role, I believe, which is increasing the supply. So when you mine the rocks, the ores from a mining site, not all the ores can be processed. Maybe 20 to 25% of the ores that is being mined can be processed. They go through the processing that has been there for the last 100 years. It has been improving every year. But there are some low-grade materials that contain the ores that contain these metals, but cannot be processed through the traditional method. It's too low grade. So they call it cutoff grade. And cutoff grade means that if the grade is higher than that cutoff grade, let's process it. If it's lower than cutoff grade, let's put it in a waste. We cannot process it. It's just going to be there. And for some mines, 50% of their deposit is actually going to show up in the waste because the volume is high, the grade is low, but it's still 50% of, for example, copper is trapped on those unrecyclable, unextractable materials. Now, PH7 plays a role over there. So we go to the mine site, we design the process that can extract economically those low-grade materials, lower than cut-off grade from the waste rock, and increase the supply, increase the metals production in every mine site. And we do that through the sustainable method. It's the same process, it's a closed-loop process. We use solvent, organic, and electrochemistry, combine them together while extracting these metals from those low-grade ores. And interesting fact is that we are producing green hydrogen as a byproduct of the process as well. So we actually use that green hydrogen to offset the energy consumption of the mining operation of our process. And we literally bring sustainable mining while increasing the supply of the metal mined from the mining sites around.
It's really interesting. Now, we talk about sustainability, but sustainability is all part of a slightly broader agenda. So I want to ask you, what measures does or is PH7 Technologies taking to ensure that you are also socially responsible?
That's a great question. As a startup, it's hard to measure it perfectly. When you go to a corporation, it's easier because you can see the impact. But we are trying to play a role. So we believe we will have some right now in our recycling business that we are commercializing. Right now, we are measuring our carbon footprint, our SOx, NOx emissions, which is, I believe it's a direct impact on people. So you have these recycling sites, you have these mineral extraction sites around the world, close to the cities. They have lots of emission. With our process, we can decrease those emissions. And I believe that's one of the major roles that we play. So we measure all of those GHG emissions. We measure those carbon footprints that we have. The water consumption is another major measurement that we have. The water is something that is, I would say, rare and scarce around the world. I believe it's smart. Drinking water and sweet water is our major resource, Earth. And we try to play a role to reserve it as much as possible, save it as much as possible. And through this process, we minimize water consumption while decreasing the wastewater production. So these are the environmental impact measurement that we measure. Indirectly, I believe in our company, we try to be socially responsible. So we try to have a diverse culture in the company. We actually, when we're hiring someone, diversity is, I believe, is one of the key as the hire. And I see diversity is not just because we want to practice diversity. It's not. Literally, it's not. I believe we need diversity because it's not that I am the only person who is right. I want to have the diverse mindset, different point of view, people coming from different culture. And just when you brainstorm, it adds a lot of value. And that's how I see diversity, importance of diversity. Having women, different ethics, different generations, it's just different age, everything, just that diverse culture I believe it helps us a lot. It has lots of challenges. Okay, it's not easy, but I believe it helps us a lot. It just the upside is way higher that can help you and push you to go over the challenge. So that's one of, I believe, the things we try to have really fair structure payments, which is in Vancouver, the cost of living, unfortunately, is just crazy. It's getting higher and higher every single day. So we try to just play a role to have a fair payment to our employees. And we have some incentives as well. I believe it's just we compensate our team with equity, with shares, with options that incentivize them. And they feel that they are part of it. You know, they are building something which has a meaningful impact while they're getting share of this company. So these are the things that we are doing. We are trying to do to play a role. And hopefully we get larger and larger and have more meaningful measurements. We're going to implement those measurements, the social measurements in place definitely down the road as well.
It's good, though, that you are building these in from the ground upwards, as opposed to being a large dinosaur organisation that then's got to change itself to embrace these issues. So that is good. Good luck with that. I'm sure it's work for you.
Thank you. Thanks. I believe that's actually the key. I believe that's easier. If you build it from the foundation, it's easier than, but you see the changes that's happening in big corporation and it takes forever. And it's just because they are too big.
Yeah.
That's true. Great points.
Just, I did want to touch base because I think you had mentioned it before. Clearly, with your process, the content of the product that the customer's getting, it uses a lot less energy than the typical methodology. And is that something that you promote or measure or convey to customers? Because I'm sure anyone who's purchasing this material, especially now people in the mining / manufacturing process, that they're looking at this all the time. Is that a piece that you monitor and report on as well?
Yeah, exactly. So what we do and what we are doing right now is just we need more data. We're collecting all of the data and we collect all these measurements. So we are actually creating, we call it a metal passport for our metal that we produce down the process.
Yeah.
We are creating a passport that in passports we have all of those information. So how much energy has been used for this metal to be produced? What is the source of that metal? Is it 100% recycled metals or is it coming from mining? If it's coming from mining, what's the footprint? What is the carbon footprint of this metal that has been processed through? So we are measuring all of that. We are working with third party to validate our measurements as well. It takes time. It's not something that we can implement tomorrow. While you are doing the operation, you collect all of those data, you collect electricity. We are actually, from the day that we receive the metals, we measure the electricity consumption for that until it actually leaves the door from the processing plant. We are measuring every single element in here, the carbon footprint, the water consumption. And hopefully by next year, our commercial plant is implemented. We have it up and running. We have 6 months of data and backup. That's where we go to the market and we present our metal passport, which has all of those in there. And we have a benchmark to compare as well. So we have today's water consumption, today's carbon footprint for each metal, today's electrical consumption, and we can compare it and we can tell especially the manufacturing OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, they can offset the carbon footprint by having these metals that has been processed in a green way.
Yes, very powerful.
Yeah,
Mohammed, and I love the name, the metal passport too. It's quite clever. Okay, my question I've been asked to speak to you about is, innovation comes with hurdles. I would also, you're an entrepreneur. That also, it aligns with each other. Being an entrepreneur, you're innovative, but it does come with hurdles for sure. So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in developing and implementing PH7 Technologies and its groundbreaking approach?
Yeah, just
I'm
laughing.
sure it's a long list, by the way. So
all of that is every day.
Yeah, we might keep Lysandra here for days, but we best not do that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I believe, I don't want to discourage anyone with just listing those challenges. And I believe that's that's important for everyone who wants to do this job. Be an entrepreneur, innovator. Innovator, entrepreneur is harder because you're dealing with the new technology. But entrepreneurial mindset itself is not easy. It's just, I appreciate anyone who took that road, and it's challenges after challenge. But, it's just kind of, I love them. It's just myself, and I believe there are lots of people out there that do this because we love it. We love the challenge. We just don't want to have an everyday life, which just like each other every day. We love to sleep with the challenge in our mind, how to solve it tomorrow, and then what's going to be the challenge tomorrow that we can address. This is type of things that we love to do. And when I started PH7, just to make everything easier based on the experience that I had for the 10, 15 years of entrepreneurial roadmap that I had in my life, as I started PH7 and I was thinking about, and every day I do the same thing, what's going to happen in 5 years, and what we want to achieve in 5 years, what we want to achieve in 3 years, what's the goal in 3 years, what is going to be next year, in 1 year where we want to be, and what's going to be in 1 month, and what's going to be in 1 week, and what's going to be 1 day. And every day I update it for myself. And this is just 5 minutes myself thinking, just walking around and see. And this makes, I believe it makes it easier to address all of those challenges. But to list those challenges, I believe scalability is one of the major ones. You want to scale up a new process from a beaker. And it's not coding. It's not software that you write a code and then you delete it and then you rewrite it. And it takes only 5 minutes to do that. For every step that you take, for every test that you do, we have some tests that took 3 months to complete, and then you get the result that doesn't work. So it's just, you have to redo everything again. It takes time, but we learn from it. So we learn from every single, I would say, mistake or failure. I don't call them failure, but every challenge that we had, we learned from it. We don't have any failure in this company. And I deliver that message to everyone. There is no failure. There is results. Some results are favorable. Some results are unfavorable. We learn from unfavorable results and apply them to get favorable results. So that's how I look at it. And this helped us a lot for addressing the scalability challenge. We started to use a lot of contractors that have done this before, just similar things, not exactly the same thing, but at least they had some experience. It helped us a lot to address the scalability challenge. Another one is talents. I would say talent and finding the right talent, the people that understand your vision, share your vision. They are aligned with your mindset. It's not easy. It's hard. It's tough. And it takes, I believe, most of my time when I want to find. And that's another challenge that we faced, which I'm grateful to have this amazing team so far, that everyone is sharing the same vision, is sharing the same mission, and we are proud of what we are doing. I believe that's another day-to-day challenge, and every day you are growing, you are bringing a new person in the team, and keeping that culture is a challenge. It's everyday challenge. And another one, if I want to list, would be financial. It's always a challenge. For a startup, especially in hard tech, in R&D, which is really cost intensive, and it's any equipment that you want, any consumables, any materials for R&D lab, it's expensive, and financial challenges has been there forever, and it's going to be there forever. We are generating revenue pre-commercialization. We are generating revenue through our commercial plan. It helps a lot, but it's still the aggressive R&D that we have is consuming a lot of money. So finding those investments and investors that believe in you, trust in you, believe in your vision, and they have the right vision as well. They have the same vision as well. It's another challenge. Again, so grateful for the investors that we had so far that share the same vision that we have, which is amazing. I believe we have been, don't call it lucky, but we have been really, lucky just to get to have those investors that they understand what we want to achieve, they appreciate it, and they help us as much as possible. Government grants has been super helpful. Really, truly appreciate all the Canadian government grants that we got so far, especially when you are in you have an idea, you want to test it, you don't have any money, you cannot convince investors, you don't have anything. So those government grants has been super helpful. And hopefully we will see the gap in the government grants going to be hopefully overcome in the next few years. So you have earlier stage government grants, all the taxpayers, they pay you a lot of money. You can apply it into the R&D, and now you want to scale up, you want to grow. That's the payback is coming in. There is nothing. And this huge gap is just force the companies, especially Canadian companies, go to other countries, unfortunately. And hopefully that gap is getting addressed. I know that government wants to play their role. Hopefully we see that with a higher pace. I don't want to see that companies like PH7 and other startups going overseas for growth. Hopefully the growth happening can. This is my goal. So yeah, I believe these three challenges that they listed would be enough, but it's fun. It's fun to overcome all of these challenges.
I'll just summarize. That's a great summary. John and I, being entrepreneur, I think you're going through the list. I'm going, yes, yes, yes. And you're absolutely, you have to love being a problem solver. Sure. You like to be challenged. Otherwise you're bored.
That's true.
So thank you for that.
Yeah. So true. Okay, what I'm coming on to is also a challenge, I suppose. Staying ahead in a fast-paced industry is tough. Staying ahead in any industry is tough. How did you keep PH7 Technologies at the forefront of advancement? How do you maintain your position as a leader?
It is a really big challenge, and especially with these big corporations that we are, I don't call it competing, we are working with. It's a better term, I believe. So big corporations that I see PH7 as a complementary to these multi-billion dollars giants and corporates around the world. Just keeping up with that pace and the changes in the industry, it's hard for a startup with about 40 people. It's really tough. But how we address that, I believe, being nimble, being fast, just see the market, have a good market insight, have a good vision what's happening in the next few months, and then define the roadmap, a really short-term roadmap with a long-term vision. So this is, I believe you heard about pivoting the startups, and I like and hate that word. There are two pivots. I believe pivots help you actually to keep the pace with the industry, but there are some pivots that no one should take it, and that's a pivot in the vision. So the vision should be fixed. You have a vision. Our vision is to get to net zero goal by 2050. That's the vision that we're never going to pivot. That's the vision that we're going to keep it as is. But there are some pivots in the way, in the roadmap to get to that vision. And then that's where I believe we can keep up with the pace. That's where we have to change. We have to be fast, we have to be nimble, and we have to be able to change our mindset every day. So sometimes we have planned, everything is perfect, but we see that there is a new trend to the market, and you have to completely change all of that roadmap that you had for the next few months. And the good thing about the startup environment, it's happening fast. So it's not a big corporation that you have to go through a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of changes. And the team is aware of that. We have a young, passionate team they are actually up to it. So that's how we keep the pace. While another, I believe the key in keeping that pace is R&D. This company is heavy R&D, and it's going to be heavy R&D all the time. And we are doing R&D. We are doing funding that actually we believe we're going to implement into the market. And we're going to be, in next few years, we're going to be the one who's going to keep the pace and actually impose the pace to the mineral extraction. And it's all because of the R&D, because of the amazing R&D team and the scientists that we have in-house while working with universities. So I'm from academia. I believe the connection between academia and industrial is the key to keep that pace. We are grateful to have MyTax, which is an amazing organization connecting PhD postdoc students to industries. And this is what we have been using from day one, and we're still using it. We are working with Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, University of British Columbia, UBC in Vancouver, through MyTax, amazing collaboration. And we are up to date. What's happening what research is happening over there, how we can actually align our R&D with the R&D happening in academia. And we see the market as well. We see the industry, where it goes. So we can connect those two together And that's how we keep up with the pace, with the fast pace of the changes in the new era.
Thank you.
Mohammed,
That's
this is
interesting.
okay, right.
Thank you.
Okay. So Mohammed, this is the last question for myself. And it's similar to the last question I asked, but can you share any recent breakthroughs, like based on what you've said of how you have to be continually doing research, innovation, leading edge, because that's how you stay ahead. Is there anything that you can tell our audience, a recent breakthrough that our innovation that PH7 Technologies has achieved that is, again, you don't want to give away your secret sauce, but it's kind of monumental based on who you are and what you've done?
Yeah, it has happened the last few months, and it's amazing that happened. It's about the copper mining. So we could extract the copper from really unextractable, unleachable copper ores. That is, with any chemistry, with any different type of processes, they couldn't extract any of the recovery, but 1%, 0%, nothing. And now we could, by doing a heavy R&D and in prototyping it, we could extract more than 70-80% of the copper from that typical ore. That is actually, it's abundant around the world. It's actually about 80% of ores around the world. So we could extract it from that super low grade materials. So that was something that the team is really proud of it. And we are pushing it hard to scale it up as soon as possible. And with doing that, we're extracting that copper from this unextractable or super low grade while producing hydrogen. So we built and designed our first electrolyzer. We call it mining electrolyzer that produce on-site hydrogen. And we started a heavy R&D on collecting that hydrogen and see how we can use that hydrogen actually on site, on the mining sites. We got some funding as well that helps us, government funding, focus on that R&D. So these are the new innovations that we've done in the last few months. And it's getting us super excited just to work harder to see that is being commercialized soon.
Excellent. Slight follow-up. What sectors are your customers? Like, I understand the mining sector, but what manufacturing type customers would you?
We do have different customers. So it's just, let me explain the supply chain. Okay, so our process, we have a processing plant, which means that we receive some raw materials through the process. The processing plant receive raw materials, and that's our supply. Those are our suppliers. So the suppliers can be a mining company. So we build up a processing plant on a mine. The supply is from mining materials, or can be a recycling company, or can be OEMs, original equipment manufacturer, that they have some byproducts. They want to recycle it. They want to have the metals out and again reuse it. So those are going to be our customers in the supply. Then we extract these metals. The metals goes to manufacturers. That's our customers as well. So manufacturers are going to be our customers. So it's a wide range of customers, and that we have all the way from suppliers to the end customers. It's going to be our stakeholders of this industry. And we have different business models. We sell the metals, or we just processing for them and give them back the metals. So we work whichever way our customers are preferring. So we don't have really one business model that is going to be this. We really have an open business model that we can work with different type of stakeholders and customers in this mineral industry.
Sounds like it's going to be evolving as well as you go forward.
True. We learn every day.
Yeah.
Mohammad, it's been great having you on as our guest, and it's been great learning about PH7. What is the biggest takeaway for our listeners from today's episode?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. It was amazing, actually. It was a really great discussion. I really enjoyed it to share what we learned from PH7 and with your listeners. Just a great takeaway. I believe that startups are playing their roles to minimize the environmental impact of different processes that we have in place. We definitely have measurement tools in place. We learn every day to bring those measurements more efficient and gathering the data to make sure that our measures are aligned with the industry. And more importantly, I believe it's just the challenges that we face. That's what it builds the company, and that's what builds PH7. So we need to address the challenges, to learn from it, and then invent something that is going to be useful for the industry. Thanks again. It was amazing. Really enjoyed it. And hopefully it was useful for your listeners as well.
Thanks, Mohammed. John, what's your biggest takeaway?
Well, there's a lot, but one I'm going to land on is the business benefits of diversity. We don't hear many people talking about that. And one of the things I know from long experience of doing management consultancy, that the more diverse a team is, and that's in every way, generally the better the results are. The more monoculture a team is, the more chance that they're not going to succeed. So that's my takeaway.
Thanks for that, John. Dave, what's your biggest takeaway?
It's the thought that I think change is going to happen, and it's going to mainly occur because of startup companies like that can start fresh, that has a vision, that has a founder or a leader that has this belief that they're going to do it and there's nothing stopping them, and making sure they have people on board that have the same mindset that will go through a wall for Mohammed to ensure that he's successful. That you can't find that culture in many organizations, but in startup companies, because they're startup companies, not everyone wants to go into that type of environment because it can be pretty demanding. But at the same time, I'm going to say, because I'm familiar, Mohammed, it can be one of the most rewarding jobs for people. So I'm just going to say to you, I believe the world and Canada, North America, needs more startups that actually think differently from what we've done before. And I think that's really been a very good case study explaining what he's done and why it's so unique and how he's using it. And diversity, and John, remember, he's talking about working with academia and not working in his own silo. Anyhow, Mohammed, you're kind of a case study that we hear often with entrepreneurs, but it's so refreshing to hear it. So congratulations to you. And again, we are really looking forward to see how you advance as you move.
Here. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Mohammed, and congratulations to you and the PH7 team for all your hard work.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. It was great.
Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks everyone.
That's all for today's episode of the 360 on Energy and Carbon podcast. Thanks for listening. Make sure to check us out on our website at 360energy.net and follow us on LinkedIn at 360 Energy Inc. Tune in to our podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, Anchor, or other listening platforms by searching the 360 on Energy and Carbon. You can watch the video recording and subscribe on YouTube at 360 Energy Inc. Email us your feedback at podcast@360energy.net or comment on our LinkedIn posts. See you next week.